Top fan, John Michael Fernand, beg your pardon, sorry, Jean-Michel Fernand, beg your pardon. Since he's been in office, he hasn't dishonored the office the way Clinton, Kennedy, LBJ, Roosevelt have. No sex, no corruption, no cover-ups, no scandal. His speeches and public remarks are terrific and backed up by his actions. It is only his tweets that insult individual opponents. They seem to be more strategic and less mean-spirited than they were before he took office. Has he cleaned up his act? Who are you talking about? I'm going to assume you're talking about President Trump. I don't think he's cleaned up his act, and I don't think he will clean up his act. I don't think he's possible of it, and I don't think he's capable of it. And I'd love to tell you that it doesn't bother me, but some of these tweets bother the hell out of me. But this is the price. This is what it costs. This is what having Donald Trump as president costs. This is the price. A guy who's a knife fighter has understood very clearly that anything he says through traditional press channels will be distorted, and not just distorted, but inverted. So he's left with Twitter, which allows him to communicate directly with the American people, which is great and essential. It's really essential. I do wish that that President Trump had a person following him around everywhere. And Donald Trump would then turn to them and say to them the stuff that he tweets, and then have that person take that sentiment and make it a little more dignified, I guess. But look, this is not only the price we pay; it's a small price as far as I'm concerned. You're right. The guy's constantly made out to be a sexist, and all the women that ever worked for him said he was a great guy. There's nothing he can do or say that will not be turned against him, so he has to use Twitter. And since Twitter, look, I never tweet, ever. And this is a conscious decision on my part, because I realized that if I had the ability to say what was on my mind as it was happening, I would live to regret most of this stuff. I don't like the idea that I see something that really pisses me off or something, and then I immediately give my first take on it. That's not what I want to do. But as C.P. Tomes just said in the comment section, he says Trump is a media genius, media troll genius, and he is certainly shown that in many cases he fully understands this whole idea of trolling. And I think somehow, since the left is so used to trolling other people, I don't think they can react when they get trolled. A great example is this 4chan stuff, where they'll have Mountain Dew will have a contest to come up with the name of its new apple-flavored drink, and then 4chan guys rig the voting, and so the number one name of Mountain Dew's new drink turned out to be, because we're going to let the internet name it, so they did. So the number one name turned out to be Hitler Did Nothing Wrong. That was the name of the drink. Bodie McBoatface, as Mobile Moto points out, the British had a competition to let the British people name one of their warships, and the name that won was Bodie McBoatface. So, if you don't understand, if you go nuclear over people, if you go nuclear thinking that the country has become so fascistic and so Nazistic that people seriously think that having the award-winning name, the number one name is Hitler Did Nothing Wrong, if you can't see that's trolling, then I really don't know what to tell you. And I see them doing this all the time, and and the left doesn't seem to understand it. Now, there are a few people on the alt-right who say some things I think are just absolutely reprehensible. And if somebody said that I was an alt-right commentator, I would fight that tooth and nail. I am just a solid American conservative, believe in individuals. I yet to see a conspiracy theory that I believe, and furthermore, the things I'm trying to conserve are classical liberalism. I'm trying to conserve the idea of private property, individual responsibility, free speech, that stuff. So, I don't know. It's a crazy world out there. There's no question the internet is making people crazy. There's no question about it. And the question becomes then, is it worth the trade? And I say, hell yes, it's worth the trade, because even though the internet is making people crazy, if it weren't for the internet, we'd be well into Hillary Clinton's first of 9 terms. The ability to get information out is worth all of the, filth that it generates. It's worth all of the just plain out and out lies and deceptions. It's worth the fact that it's rewiring our brains. There's no alternative. If there was an alternative, I'd love it. But the ability to get information out directly to people using a system that was designed to survive a nuclear war is our only hope. And it's been paying off. There'd be no Donald Trump without the internet. There's no question about that either. And so, there you go.